Thank you.
I'm already done with them today. I need to replace it, so somebody needs to send me some.
So, yeah, if it's going, you're good. Thank you. One of the things I wanted to kind of jump off what you were talking about, Kelly, is I read a book, Deep Work. I think I told you about it, by Cal Newport. It's really good. And it goes into like the social media aspect. So like if you look at authors or you look at journalists, you know, they're like whatever publishing house they're with or whatever, you know, newspaper, magazine, website they're with, they demand that they tweet. And so you have to like tweet all day long, and then they can't do actual, you know, journalism.
Deep work.
Yeah. And so one of the, actually there might have been 2 or 3 of them, they just refuse. So if you want me to tweet, don't hire me, because I'm not getting on there, because that's not what you've hired me to do. You know, you've hired me to write. And so a lot of the best, you know, authors or journalists, they do their work, but they may have an assistant or someone that will tweet out snippets for them. The guy, Cal Newport, he's a professor at college, and then he's also an author. I think he has at least 2 books. And you can email him. He has a website, you can email him. He's on social media. But when you email him, it's something to the effect of, these are the types of emails I respond to. So unless it has this criteria, do not expect a reply. And it just, man, it reduced his email load significantly. So then, you know, he, at the end of that particular chapter, oh, and here's another email trick he gave that I keep forgetting to do. He said the other thing that keeps happening in the workplace is, like, I don't think I did it with you. It was another one of my clients. Oh, it was a new client, and they said, yeah, you know, Monday, this date works. And then I was like, okay, what time? Then he gives me the time. Okay, where do you want to meet? And it was like this ongoing email exchange when I could have said, please tell me, these are the 2 dates. Please tell me which one works, what time, and where you want to meet. And then it's one email. But instead, I forgot, because we do emails like we're having conversation. And then I mean, me and you do it all the time. And so then it takes up a lot of time. So he talked about, you know, make sure everything's there as much as possible. But on the social media, so what he said is that when you look at your primary work, do you need social media? And he said, if you don't, then you can make the decision not to be on it. Like if it's not going to, you know, further your goals or make you money, get off. But he said, if it is crucial, like for me it is, but the majority of my time on it is not for me. But if it is crucial, then limit that time or put it in certain sections of the day. And so I thought that was helpful, because there's no way I can get off, but I can choose how much personal time I want to give to it.
Well, that's why, like with us, I mean, there's no reason, in my business, I don't need to be on there, because I hire somebody to do that. So my job is more productive doing something else than putting together the stuff that you do, because it would take me forever to do it. I can pay you to do it, but it'd take me days to do. You do it in an hour.
I do.
It's interesting when you were talking about the journalism. My friend that I grew up with, that's what she went to school for. That was her profession. She got fired because she wouldn't
tweet
and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
From her job that she had been in.
It is.
And it's so hard not to get sucked into the timeline, like.
Yeah, that's the thing. And and I know, like, the times I do, so sometimes I'll get on maybe while I'm eating lunch or having my coffee after my morning things, and then I'll get on there and kind of check in, you know, funny memes. That's what I like to do. Share, ha ha ha, share. But it's easy, like, you know, before you know it, 15 minutes. 15 minutes has passed. And so, but the tweet, that was one thing I have not ever. I tried to be on it, and it was overwhelming. And
Bad news.
Yeah.
Just constantly.
And then you get the response, and then you get this, and then you get that. The only thing I'm willing to enter into discussion with, and I'll probably just continue to do it through YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. I don't think I'll ever get on Twitter, X, is for my true crime, because I want to know what people are thinking and then I can respond back and forth. But other than that, I'm not interested in conversation. Just like it, hate it, see you later, you know.
Is Hal Newport the one, I've listened to him recently,
Okay,
and I remember listening to somebody that I actually told, I'm part of a book club,
okay,
and I was telling them that this person that I had listened to, and I'm wondering if it might be him, said something like, this is how you do things for having kids with social media. You know, these are parameters to put around them to help them if you have to have
I
it.
don't remember that. I
Is
mean,
he known for not being on social media at all?
he's known for that.
Okay, that's him.
So
then.
it may be
Okay.
some blogs or maybe a different book.
Something
Yeah,
that I
because
read
he,
or-
it's neat, you know, like I guess if you're a tenured professor, you have to have like so many papers that go out, and he couldn't find time. So he's got, you know, his teaching schedule, he's got students dropping by, he's got, you know, and at the most a professor can get, and this is if they're doing really good, like 3 to 4 a year put out. And it was driving him insane. So he's like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. So what he did, and another professor did this as well, but what he does is he shut his open door policy. If students want to talk to him, because a lot of it was nonsense, he assigned criteria and they have to schedule an appointment. And then the other thing he did is he does the time blocking. And then, you know, it's like if he's in the semester where he needs to do his papers, he has class papers, that's it. He doesn't go to lunch with other people, he doesn't, you know, do any of that. Another professor, he's very young, he got like, I think it was 18 papers written in 1 year. And what he did, and they're technical, and what he did is he only teaches one semester, and then the rest of the semesters for work. But he has like different deep work ways, and I'll probably bring that in. I'm probably going to teach on that, because it's really good, because some of us can't just, you know, hey, I'm not going to work for 6 months so I can, you know, focus on this. And but anyway, it's a really good book, and he goes into the idea of being a craftsman. You know, it's like when we, you know, we're in an information age, and so how do you measure progress? Well, if you were a blacksmith back in the day, your progress was, you know, product that you could then sell, and it was craftsman, you know, quality, and people were happier because they were doing things with their hands, they were physical, they were active. And then now, how do you measure progress in technology, right? So it was really interesting. So he was, one of my favorite things is he said, you need to have something that you can create. You know, whether it's, you know, playing music or art, or, you know, honing your craft in the gym or whatever it is, you need to have something tangible that, you know, you can go up on or you can see results. It was really good. It was really, really good. Okay, Dorina, can you remind me of homework? And I think you might, I don't know if anybody else did it. But what was the
It was like a list of something. Right?
You make a list of all your goals,
And then
everything
prioritize
you
them?
wanted to do, everything.
yeah,
And then you would rate them 1 through 10.
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
I did do
Okay.
that actually. I just
Do you remember what your top 2 were?
I don't know. I think I've changed so much. Like my life has drastically changed so much since then. Just because I was like at this weird downtime, like when we first stopped, I was like feeling really out. Didn't have a routine, and I was just like, I just need to get my life like back.
Well, it sounds like
busy.
you started getting your routine.
Now I'm busy and my routine is very set.
And then I think your weight situation, how is that going?
It's going good.
Okay,
I haven't like hit that goal or anything yet, but I mentally am really overcoming some stuff. So
good.
I've been using a lot of the stuff that you were telling me.
So you might have already accomplished your desires. It'd be interesting to see, like, if you go back to what was important
I know I need
to your homework.
have it
It'd be
set.
interesting to see if you fulfilled them, or at least one of them, or if maybe it's changed and you need to tweak that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it'll be
I'll go back
important
and
for that.
Okay.
What? I wasn't here.
Yeah, you
I
were
think
when
you
I
were.
last talked. I think we've been working on it. You know, that the time management, the papers, all
Yeah,
that
I
stuff.
didn't do that part of it, so, I mean.
You
I
pretty
fa-
much
I failed.
knew.
I failed.
You pretty much knew. Man, we got a bunch of filling going on.
Well,
Kim.
bunch of
I
fellas.
should have brought that word out, shouldn't
Oh,
I?
goodness gracious.
Miscommunication.
You may have failed, but you're not a failure.
I'm a fella.
You're so funny.
So, the list was supposed to be 10 of our goals, right?
Well, it'd be all of your desires, all the things you want to accomplish, and then it's what we went over a little bit in the intensive, and then you pick the top ones, the top 2 that you wanted to focus on.
I'll
And
work on
and then Kelly, I think you're hitting goals, making goals,
That I
doing
have,
smart goals.
uh-huh,
So
Yeah. I have 7 of them left that I haven't hit.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, I
For the
touched
year.
my top 2, so I was proud of it. I lost a little weight, and
Okay.
I've been decluttering my back room. I've been throwing away stuff. Let me tell you, this is stuff when my kids were in elementary school. I still have in boxes.
Oh my goodness,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
The
That
hardest
is
part now is
amazing.
throwing away their grade school papers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept Kent's. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
When my,
I know how hard that is.
when my mom
Yes, it
passed, she had put together a box, my sister found it, and she brought it together, and in there was the first pair of shoes that I ever wore as a baby, and it had my name and the date of birth on the bottom. of it.
Wow.
Not the bronze ones, these were, these.
I have
Actual
my,
shoes.
I have my older son, because he was a preemie, I have all his baby doll clothes that I took to the preemie for him to wear is still in
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah.
baggies and
I'd
everything.
at least keep some of the papers or maybe the report cards because, oh, did you already chunk them?
No,
Okay.
I have,
I would keep
so
some of it
even
too.
when I got air vac and all the papers when I was in the hospital with them, I have all of those.
Yeah, I'd
all
keep
the
it.
bills and everything.
That was cool looking through Dad's stuff and he had my report cards and
I have all of that, yeah.
all that. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now,
So.
one of the things that I wanted to touch base on before we get into time stories is your biggest constraints. And, you know, you've got 2 types. You've got, and I think we touched on it a couple months ago, but you've got your natural weaknesses and then you've got shrinks overextended. And so like with D personalities, the restraints can be like, because we're fast paced, we can tend to be impatient.
Oh, me? No.
We can tend to be insensitive, or we can tend to be too fast. So we'll make decisions that maybe required more thought. And then I would say probably the go-to emotion for, especially a pure D, would be anger. Eyes in particular, that's, you know, just avoidance of anything that's not fun. You know, if it's not fun, I'm not interested. And then also, social rejection is a natural weakness. I hate it. Well, let me go to the other one. So on the S personalities, which I think that might be you, Kelly, I'm not sure, but resistance to change. I mean, you know, S's in particular, it's like, you know, trying to pull them. And then a hard time saying no is really a big deal for them. And I's can tend to be that way too. And then C's is they get in their head and can't get out. So those are like some natural, and I would say C's can operate a lot by fear. S's can tend to hold grudges. I's, they don't want to feel anything negative. So I'm not sure exactly what happens.
Say that again, eyes what?
They hate feeling anything negative. So I would say because they hate feeling anything negative, probably what they do is hide in fun, hide, you know, going out, motivating, having a good time. But there's also the strengths. And so when you take, like with a D, one of their strengths actually is being aggressive. I mean, that's why a lot of D's run businesses, is because they're aggressive. They don't want to do it like everybody else. They, you know, they want to really take the bull by the horns. Well, if it's overextended, right? I mean, you can just turn into a bully. And that can happen so subtly, like in relationships or business, you know, interaction. You get like tunnel vision. And then with the eyes, they're so motivational that when it's time to troubleshoot, when it's time to really get to the bottom of stuff, they don't want to. Like if you say, well, that may not work because of this, they can really get, you know, hurt. With S's, their strength is tactfulness, but again, overextended, they can't say no. And then of course C's, they see everything that could go wrong. They see all the T's you missed. And, well, I don't know, sometimes when I have to read it, do proofreading, it doesn't always work out. But typically they see all the things you need to dot and all the things you need to cross. But that can get where it's hard for them to see good things ahead. It's, because they're natural fixers. They're natural toward negative. Is it hot in here?
Yes.
I'm about to pass out.
I thought it was me, but
No, I'm like,
always burning up, so.
so anyway, before we get into, because time stories won't take long, what do you think would be your, let's say, 2 to 3 weaknesses or constraints that could keep you from your goals?
I feel like it's really funny as you were talking, I was like, I feel like my D and I fight against each other a little bit.
I could see that.
So I think I do rush things a lot.
Okay.
And then in the end, I could have just, like a simple example would be like, I hate reading instructions. I'd rather just figure it out. I do it wrong, then I have to go back and actually read the instructions. So if I would have just read the instructions, it would have saved me time.
Yep.
And I do stuff like that a lot. So I do think, but I mean, it is also a strength sometimes because I can just make a decision really quickly.
Right.
Whereas like my husband will sit and be like, what should I do? And I'm like, let's just get it done, like, and so
He'll make a list.
I do feel like that can be a constraint. And what's really funny with the D and the I is sometimes I can come off as a bully, but I'm so not. Like I hate the thought of like hurting people's feelings like that.
Yeah.
And that's where like my I cares so much what people think, but then it's like my D is like,
You just need to do it.
I don't care.
Right.
So then I'm like constantly like, why don't they like me?
That's an I right there.
So I think that's really funny. I just like really, that made perfect sense to me. I was like,
Yeah.
So I needed to start trying to make them.
I used to be
together.
so fast, but what changed my mind about being as fast as I used to be on decisions is when I painted my kitchen 3 times because I didn't like any of it. If you've ever painted a kitchen, it's a pain.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is dumb.
You
I
gotta
need
really
to
plan
do
this out.
something here. It was at the old house. It's like I need to start really thinking. So I start. You can learn these behaviors, but I got C in me, so I was able to tap into that and go a little bit.
So I do have some C.
Mhm.
And so that I do get really analytical about things. And I feel like sometimes my biggest successes are when I like really use those together, where I get really analytical and then make the decision.
And make the decision.
Yeah.
Yep. That's truth right there. All right, Mr. Beckner, what's your greatest constraints? Almost said restraints.
It is, I have to be restrained. A lot of what she just said, I was on that, so you know that from the same time. The other thing with me is, and I don't know if it's a constraint or just a personal issue, is starting so many projects and then starting some more projects, starting some more projects, and none of them get done.
That's definitely an I factor, I believe. And we discussed a little bit on the either getting distracted, because eyes are 100%. If there's because yours are like almost well, they were equal,
It's
weren't
like
they?
squirrel. you know.
Exactly. And eyes, that's why I always give them like an extra. I double the time. So if I'm going to meet with an I personality,
Yeah, we're gonna talk for a while.
I'd give 30 minutes. It's going to be an hour and a half. I just, I used to get so frustrated. Now I just build
And
it in.
to me, for years it was
That's my I.
DI, and then it's slowly, and I'm scared it's gonna go this way.
The I.
Yeah.
It might, because by
There's
the
a lot of
time,
strengths with I too, though.
by the time you're done with, work and you want to start, switching
That was
gears,
yesterday.
You'll want that up. You know what I mean? So, but no, it is. But D's can be very distracted as well. Even though I've got enough I can pull on it. It's the next one after C. But the D, they can get distracted by, I can just get this done real quick, or I'll just do this, or.
No, and like she said, the biggest thing with me is if there's instructions, they're going in the trash, and I'm gonna put it together. And I may put it together 4 times, before I get it right.
Yeah.
Because I didn't read the instructions. but
When I
read
put
instructions.
together a piece of furniture and forgot the bottom shelf, and it was like that for years because I
Because you
refused to
wouldn't
take it
even take it
apart,
apart, put it
I
there.
decided I'll read instructions. So I haven't done that since. But a lot of times for the fast-paced personalities like us, and then even Kim, you're a DI, I think, or ID. It is good just slow down, because if we're referring to time management, right? If it takes you 4 times to put together a piece of furniture, when you could have either watched a video or looked at the pictures, they're pictures,
Yeah.
guys. They're not a bunch of words, right? That it'll save you time to do that little bit of prep work. And that was one thing that took me a while to figure out.
But you know why you don't do it is because you know you're not gonna make a mistake, so why do you have to look at those instructions?
And that could probably be a constraint.
It's
Right.
funny that you say that. When I put my animated Mickey Mouse together, I was like, I can do this without reading the instructions. And I did it, but I kept looking at like, that's not right. That's not right. But believe it or not, it was right. I was proud of myself.
Really?
Yes.
Good job.
Yeah, I was like, I said, see, I don't need instructions.
Well,
like
I
that.
got nervous when I put together that piece of furniture, and I'm like, why do I have all these leftover parts? This doesn't make any
They're
sense.
just extras in case.
Oh no, they weren't extras. There's too many.
That commercial where they put it together, this is all done and it just falls apart.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have reading instructions, yeah.
I have
No,
this,
that's good.
I have to tell this really fast. This was hilarious. First time I ever went to IKEA.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you could know. I was trying to surprise my husband with this bedroom set. I found this bed with drawers underneath.
Ah.
I go down, I write everything down, I go down to the warehouse to grab everything, and I'm in a rush, of course. So I just throw everything on there. I get home, I like toss the instructions, don't care. I start putting together the drawers, what I think is the drawers underneath, and I'm like, this is really tall, how does this fit underneath there?
Oh, no.
It does not make any sense. And I mean, there's so many checkpoints where I could have figured out that maybe it costs too much than what the bed costs, like just weird, you know? And I get it together and realize that it was a full dresser. And I was like, I just got a dresser on accident. Okay. And I forgot the drawers that go underneath the bed. So that was just,
That's funny.
and at no point was I like, no, I was like stubborn, like, nope, I did this right because I do most things right.
You
That's
did,
a
you built it all
day
up
trade.
right, didn't you?
You
Yeah.
built it right.
That's
It was
the
just the
wrong
wrong
It was
thing.
just so
Oh,
funny.
I
was
used to
like,
drive my
wow.
ex nuts because, like, he would like ketchup or something, and I would just grab whatever was red. It would be like barbecue sauce, or I'd be like, well, I'm gonna make this recipe. He's like, well, do you have all the ingredients? I don't know. And he's a C, so I have to go, oh, man, I don't have this, I don't have that. So I just,
well.
you know,
Make
do
it.
whatever, and it'd be terrible. So then we'd have to go out to eat because it was you couldn't eat it. You know, it was ridiculous. So now even in the store, I still do that. I'll just grab whatever looks like whatever I'm going after. That's funny.
And little bitty furniture.
Oh yeah, little bitty furniture. I got one of those phases on Amazon where I'd be like, oh, it says love seat.
Yeah.
So I get it, and I'm like, is this for midgets? I don't understand. Like why? I mean, it's like everybody keeps saying, well, it's a chair. Don't call it a chair. It's not a chair. It's a love seat. I mean, only one person practically can. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I did that a lot. Yes. Yes. All right, Adrena, your 2 to 3 biggest constraints.
Oh, myself. Myself, number 2. Number 3, myself. No. Myself, I'm always in my head, well, and then I'm gonna make a list. I take too long, I'm the opposite. I'll be like, well, let's just make a list of pros and cons, why I should not do this. And by the time I'm done, I've wasted too much time, I should have just made a decision. And I usually go with the decision I wanna make. To
In the
begin
first
with.
place.
Yeah.
Maybe limit your list.
Yeah.
Maybe like 3 things.
Well, I stopped writing stuff down because it get ridiculous. I
Yeah.
stopped making a lot of lists. I'm like, nope, not gonna, nope.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, being in your head for a C, that's the biggest thing. Kelly?
I don't really know, like what you're exactly looking for, what.
Well, anything that is a part of our personality or particular weaknesses we might have that would prevent us from reaching our goals.
Okay, one thing that I absolutely hate is doing something like, and I avoid it at all costs almost, is doing something like getting into, working on our will and doing all the little details and having to make the calls and da-da-da-da-da. Those kind of things are very, I will push those back and push those back. So there's something I really have to concentrate on and say, I'm gonna work 15 minutes a day and then close it up. 15 minutes. But I mean, even when I go to do that thing, then it's like, oh, I just have to push myself to get there. So that would be something that would, constrain, that would be a constraint that would keep me from wanting, because what happens is I get all like motivated, like I'm gonna get this done, and I do get it done. But the thing about it is you kind of have that, list of things that are sort of nagging you in the back of your head all the time.
Yeah.
Cause there's always something like that, and you just need to dig in and get it done. And like I say, eventually I will. Right now I'm working on our will, and it's really easy for me just to put it back. And then you go back in and you're looking at it, and it's all like, now I don't remember what I called, who I called, or whatever. I just need to keep going on it until it's complete.
Yeah.
And so that would be definitely, a
And what do
constraint.
you think is the reason you don't like it so much? Is it all the details, or having to do those phone calls, or is it just the topic itself?
All three.
Yeah.
I think it would be all three. Decision making. I have to decide. Are we gonna do this? Are we gonna do that? Should we cut this? Should we increase here? Should we, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all that. And I gotta make an appointment with the attorney to get this done, and
Yeah.
you know, just
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that would be probably, I would say, one of the things that would hold me back from getting done the things that I want to get done, because you kind of got this nagging feeling in the back of your mind of things that you need to get done. You need to
Yeah,
take care of.
I think I talked about this, but when I was doing my will, I had put it off for months because I thought, you know, I need to do it all at once. But I didn't. I grabbed those time fragments. But what was interesting is I did have to consistently work on it every day,
Yeah.
or I would have forgotten where I stopped.
Yeah.
So that may be.
And I will say, when I say my will, I mean, do I have people on all my signature things? Do I
Yeah, I
have
had to do that too.
beneficiary? Do I have a contingent? Do I have, so it's really not any of that stuff would the attorney be necessarily concerned with.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I'm like, when I walk into his office, I wanna be able to walk out with a signed copy, put it in the safety deposit box, and have it all done.
Yeah, I had
And
to
so
do that
that's
as well.
Kind of the big,
Mm-hmm.
while I'm at it, I think I'll just change this account, I could,
That's-
you know.
You know what was interesting with me was my dad kept everything, and it drove me insane going through all his stuff that I decided I was not going to do that to my son or try to find all those papers and stuff. So it motivated me to get that will done. It motivated me to get everything organized for him. So mine was like an act of service, which, you know, on my love language, that's like really low. But for Kent, it was high. All right, Kim, constraints. Are you perfect?
You didn't see that this past weekend?
Because I was gonna punch somebody in the face. So yeah, you did pretty good. I walked out of the room.
Do you know how hard that was?
Oh yes, I do. I had to walk
Are you
out of the
gonna
room.
share with us some of this?
Sure.
Walk out of the
Without
room.
names or
Sure,
what?
Jen Blossom's term manager was right here in my face.
Mm-hmm.
And it took everything I had not to lay him out.
He was so condescending.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Very rude to me, but let me tell you all the funny part. So my other half was driving them back and forth. Literally, it seemed like every 45 minutes. This is how bougie they were. They were chit-chatty, him and this term manager, chit-chatty. After he got in my face and he had to ride back with him, not one word was said. He said, I never seen a guy open up the door and jump out as quickly as he did.
Yeah.
Because he knew something was fixing to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and I'm not playing. I mean, when we were in Chicago, there was a lady that was being rude to my mother. She worked there, and I said, you need to get out of here before I do something. I'm willing to be arrested is what I told her.
Because he was literally right there, and my hand was going back, and Marcy just pulled me away.
Yeah. And then I
Was
went
this in the-
outside.
in the room there, behind the desk?
Yeah. Yeah,
No, it was
behind the
gonna
stage.
It was gonna be behind the curtain, right there. Yeah.
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 But see, if I would have punched him, Jim Blossom's wouldn't have gone on.
I know, that's what I was thinking
This was
too.
before?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought this was after.
No, and I was like, I wanted to say something like you need to back away, but then I'm like, no, I can't ruin the entire Clovis Music Festival.
What do you think was going through my head? I mean, when he was right there.
And so
it took everything I
condescending.
had not
And
to
it sucks
just-
because
so
people like that
condescending.
know that you're gonna do whatever you can to stay diplomatic, and they'll take advantage
If
of
I
it.
was in charge, I wouldn't have. I wasn't in charge though. If I was in charge, I would have said, you need to get out of my face right now. Yeah, and if they came on stage or not, break the contract, we'll sue you.
Yeah, that was the thing, but what was so funny was after the concert, he called me up to the thing, he goes, here, we signed this for you and everything. And then when he called me at 1:15 that morning, can you take us to Lubbock, to the airport? And I said, nope.
No.
Sure can't.
I
Figure
said,
it out.
get here the same way, get home the same way you got here.
Yep.
So I
Good
told
for
him.
you. I was hoping you were gonna do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think maybe anger, but you still had restraint.
I was proud of I just don't understand how hard that
You
was.
did. Oh, it was hard. It
It
was
took
hard.
everything I had not to lay him out.
Yeah.
And I know I
Kayla,
could have.
she comes out and says, "Why are you out here?" Because I was about to say something. But all right. So time stories. I want to get into this, and I don't know if this would apply to you, Kyle. But the attention deficit deal. So I don't take diagnoses. I don't take that on, but I do take data. And some of you have heard me talk about and is actually P.A. Otero. He said, "Have you ever been diagnosed with attention deficit?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you're exhibiting signs of it, and I think that might be something that you have." And I said, "No, I can focus. I'm fine." And he goes, "Well, you've gotten systems, and so you have systems that you've put in place that help you get a lot done." And that was 100% true. So that's what we're working on. But I don't know if that could be part of the distraction and starting new projects. But that may be something to consider. So systems, and then also I practice silence. Sitting with nothing on and reading and thinking. And because my brain, there was always so much in there, like it would drive me nuts almost. I mean, it was just all over the place and I couldn't handle it anymore. So I literally, just by a sheer force of will, would will myself to stop on the inside. Just stop. Take a deep breath and then go. Now I don't have to. It's habit. I've built that. But if I get like stressed or if there's too much on my plate, I'll start doing that. And I'm sure all of you do, but when you got a fast-paced mind, it's like a bunch of ping pong balls in there just going all over the place, or the pinball machine just hitting all the corners, and can get quite loud in there. But I did learn how to quiet my mind, and I did not allow that to become my story. Because a lot of people, when they get a diagnosis, especially like if it's a mental health diagnosis, they take that identity. Mm-hmm. And we got to understand, we are who we decide to be. And I understand some start from a negative, some maybe a little bit farther ahead. But one thing that was crazy when Coach Greg said this, he said anxiety and depression are fed. And they're fed by thoughts. And they're narratives that we believe. Mm-hmm. And the more you feed them with thoughts, the stronger they get. And that's why he's a clinician, unlike any that I've ever, been around. So I had to take control of my inner world. I had to find some systems. The other thing that I want you guys to understand about time management is how you are designed. Because a lot of people, I don't know how you get everything done that you get done. I don't know, do you ever have any downtime? You'd be shocked. I have my Saturdays where I call it my Jesus day, and that's all I do. I study, I read, I take a nap if I want. Sundays, I'll work a little bit, but not as much unless I don't want to. I have my evenings, I have a shutdown process I do, but I'm naturally fast. Some people are not, right? And so you can speed up, but if you're a C or if you're an S, you're probably never going to be as fast as a D or as an I, okay? So that's really important because, I just listed all the things I do here with social media, website, podcaster. I've got 5 of those. Business and life coach, chamber board member, voluntold for the Clovis Music Festival as well, weight trainer, and there's more. Okay.
Becoming chamber president.
Yeah, which that has me scared actually. So as far as time. So what I teach people came from trial and error. You know what I mean? I'm not a professor that went to college and then taught what he was, teaches what he was taught or she was taught to other people. I had to figure this out. And I think I told you guys I'd have like the envelopes where they had like different labels on them. And I'm like, this is dumb. I don't like this. I threw that away. I mean, I just went through everything I could until I finally found my system. And it's amazing the well-being, because time, you don't get it back ever. And if there's one thing I would say outside of faith to devote your attention to, it's time and it's your people, because they're both together, right? And it's doing the things that you want to do and where you can look back and be like, man, I cannot believe, I did that. I can't believe I went to Greece. Like sometimes I'll be like, I can't believe I was actually in Greece. Like when I look at pictures of Greece stuff, I'm like, I was there. So it's doing those things now, because our good friend, it's like her and her companion, they had plans for when they both retired, and he died suddenly of a heart attack at the kitchen sink with water running, the truck started. It just overnight, her whole world is different, right? So that's why time management is so passionate. I'm so passionate about it, and why I believe it's one of the most important things to do, because of the peace and everything you get. So what I want to go in now, and the reason I developed this is actually Debbie in our Bible study. So I coached her a little bit, and I have not quite figured her out. I swear she's got some eye in there, but she bounces all over the place on things. And so I was telling her, I said, let's get you a system. Let's figure out what works for you. Let's get you a system so that you can do the things that you want to do. Well, she was able to take some of the things and make some changes, and she's doing better. But when I was telling her my process, she's like, but that's you. You probably naturally were organized with time. And I'm like, no, you have no idea. No idea. So, we always tell ourselves stories. And here's the thing, the excuse is a deflection mechanism. When you give an excuse, you are deflecting. It's that's what they are. And instead of making excuses, just be real. And like I've used this example before when people are like, I want to go to the gym. How long have you wanted to go to the gym? 10 years. Then you don't want to go to the gym. Right? Like if you wanted to go, you would be there. It has
me right now.
Yeah, that's BS. Just don't say you want to go, because you don't.
But what's so funny was prior to that, I was going twice a day for years.
And sometimes life can derail. I know one of the things that helped me, because I've been through some life stuff as well, it's an absolute.
It's BS.
I will not compromise. That's why I was at the gym Friday?
Yeah.
Thursday or Friday?
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys have great loading in and loading out. I'm going to get my clients taken care of, then I'm hitting the gym. Yeah. I didn't get to go 4 times though, but it's all right.
Yeah.
So I want to go through some common stories, and as we go through these, I want you guys to note the ones, write down the title or whatever. That way, you can be aware of them and how they come up. So the one of the most common is, I'm just not organized. Okay? I'm just not organized. Organization is a skill. So you can learn organization, okay? And this is what Debbie, that was another thing that she's like, I'm just not organized like you. A lot of people don't know charisma is a skill. You can actually develop that. Time management is a skill. Organization is a skill. I don't know why we put these things up on the level of singing. Some people should not sing. You know what I'm saying? Some people should not try to play the drums. But this type of stuff can be learned. And so organizing, sometimes you just need tools. The other one is a people-pleasing story. And this is the second most popular. This comes down to the inability to say no. 100%. And a lot of it, is a fear. It's ego-based, right? Because we don't want people to think bad about us. We want people to think that we're that go-to person or whatever it looks like. But, and by the way, some of you might have picked up the inability to say no as a core value as a kid. I see this a lot in like sweethearts, like the S's and the I's. And then they had like parents that were very service oriented. You know, they were involved in charities and they would help out their local, you know, food shelter or food and homeless shelter organizations, etc. And so that core value of helping people then translates in the inability to say no, and it sacrifices their families. I mean, I've met a lot of families that mom's always doing stuff for other people, but not us, or dad, or whatever. So these things have real life consequences, you know what I mean? This is the next one I hear all the time. It takes too much time to plan my time. That one just makes my teeth grit. I hate that one because
I feel like I struggle with that.
yeah, it's like
I know what I'm talking about.
again, it's a skill, right?
Yeah.
And so like I talked about, you know, when I sit down on Sundays to do my planner, it takes me 5 minutes now.
Yeah.
That's it. How long does it take you?
It takes me about 15, but I just enjoy it.
I do
Just,
too.
Looking and
I do
opening
too,
up
and
how
planning
we're
and what you want to do next. Yeah. So takes me about 5 minutes, and that's because I know what I want for that quarter. 100%. That quarter, I know it goes first, and then everything else comes after. But it took me, when I first started, it took me about 15 minutes, 20 minutes to do it. Now I've got the skill. I'm in it. I know what I need to do. And during it, I don't know why the light is on my thing here. That's weird. With you, and when you quit writing like your DCAs and stuff, remember, and you got back into that. So in between the time where you quit and the time where you went back to it, like what did you notice? What, like, now that you look back, because I don't know if you recognized it at the time.
No, I didn't recognize it at the time, but I did look back at it after I started again. The first thing I noticed was that I had more clarity of thought when I was doing it.
Yep.
Doing what?
Writing,
Her planner, her supreme
Every
desires.
day I write
Oh.
down what I want out of life.
Yeah.
And the things that I want to do that year. For
Mhm.
me, that's all I write. I write
Yeah.
down my goals in life every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes they change. And I write down the things that I want to do.
So you quit
So
doing
I
that for a
quit doing that
time?
because I thought that I was finished.
You're not finished till you quit breathing.
I like to do that. I like to think I'm done with something and never go back to it. So
Right.
when I found out that instead of, that we're like an onion, I wasn't happy about that. But anyway, so I went back to it. But in between the time that I didn't do it and the time that I did, I found that I have more clarity of mind. And my faith is a big part of who I am. And I found that I had more faith for this to happen when I wrote it down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I saw she seemed like she was wandering, and that's when I said, "Hey, are you still doing your?" Well, no, I'm done. I was like, "Well, I'm glad you're perfect." I think that's what I told her. I'm glad you've completed. I'll be doing this the rest of my life. That's what it's just like, what is this? So when you have the mind that bounces all over the place, the best thing you can do is recognize that is BS and just plan. Just get it done. Grit the teeth, do it 15 minutes a week. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, do you sit on the toilet a long time? Take your planner. I mean, I don't know. Like, make it happen.
Yeah.
And then this one, I don't know what I want. I've heard this quite a bit, but not as much as the others. Here's the way Coach Greg and I approach when people say, I don't know what I want. We're actually like, you do. Because we did that to
I'll
Drina.
tell you what.
You do know what you want, but here's the thing, and people have got to understand this. This became very real for me. I don't know if it was already real for Coach Greg, but this became very real for me when we had a mutual friend that did our intensive and she quit. When you finally voice what you want, there's a commitment. And it requires hope, which is expectation. Okay, it's not like you hope you get this or hope you get that. It's like there's an expectation there. And so a lot of people will hide behind, I don't know. Because once you voice it, and that's called living in the shadows. And part 1 may have come out today. Part 2, I think, is next week on our Art of Self-Change. We talk about that, come out of the shadows. Because what he sees, particularly in relationships, is people are living in shadows and people are too scared to actually say what they want. And so what happens is over time, they begin to divide. And then all of a sudden, typically in the 50s is when everything blows up. So you gotta make sure that you decide what you want. And if you need a clue, this is what I did with Dorina, is, well, and it didn't work actually. I don't even know what we did. I think we just started real small with the things you wanted, but like, what did you want to be as a kid? You can start there, because more than likely you're already doing something like that. But for her, she didn't even have that grid. So we had to do a little bit different. But now, let me read other ones. And if you guys want a copy of this, I can email it to you. Just shoot me a text. I'm too busy. Okay, so that phrase, I'm too busy, and I thought this was so good, this is not original to me, is actually a statement that deflects from the choices we make. Okay, because our time is stewarded, it's ours. If you're like, well, everybody asks all this stuff from me, do you have a mouth? You know, can you say no, right? Can you set that boundary? So that's not their fault. We teach people how to treat us, and we need to understand you're not too busy, it's poor management. Another one is, I need to find the right time. There's never a right time, ever. Just start. I'll do it later. This happens with, unappealing tasks, things that we just don't want to do. But it doesn't make it easier. And like you were saying, Kelly, it just hangs.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it, but
Yeah,
it's there.
it's there. It's like flies just buzzing
I
about.
don't want to talk about it, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I push things out of my brain a lot.
Yeah.
But it's still, they're not totally gone.
No.
Thankfully, because you gotta get them done.
Yeah.
You might have heard of this before, the 3-minute rule. If it takes less than 3 minutes, do it right now.
Yeah, that's how I handle my
implemented that, and
mail.
that's been helping.
That's how, laundry does not sit out. There's just.
Because I'm like, oh, if I think it comes to my head, it's less than 3 minutes, just do it right now, it's done.
Now, one thing where it's important is if you're a time pessimist or a time optimist, or you might be both. So for me, certain things I'm like, this could take forever, and so I just don't start them. And then other things I'm like, oh, this won't take long. And it takes 3 days.
I do that.
So, beware. I just did a personal policy that whatever I don't want to do, I just do immediately, because I was procrastinating too much, and then I was getting irritated because it wasn't taking as long. And I took years to do it. I put an end to that. I don't have time for breaks. That's another one that I hear. Breaks are important. There's so much science on what breaks do. A 5 to 10 minute where you're not working, you can read, you can look at cat videos, you can sit there and quiet, whatever it is, but just taking that break. The brain at the most to be at the optimum is 90 minutes of deep work. And I usually don't go over 4 hours without a break if I'm working. If it's real deep, I can't handle usually an hour, so I have to get a break. But make sure you have those. This one, I multitask. No, you don't. You do not multitask. You constantly switch from task to task. And so, y'all have heard me talk about this. It takes 20 minutes to get back in the zone. So let's say that you've been working on 5 things simultaneously. That's over an hour, to get back into the focus for one thing. So I am huge on, I work on one thing until it's done, or the allotted time I gave it, and I will not do anything else. I don't even check my email or anything. And I used to be one of those multitaskers. This is another one that I thought was good. It's just a busy season. It'll slow down soon. Time's like a vacuum. If I can just get through my email, I'll have more time. You'll never get, it's like, email is like hell. It never goes away. It's eternal. You just keep getting them, right? And so that used to be, I had, I think, 50,000 emails. And finally, I'm like, okay, this isn't working. So I got it all cleaned up, and then I unsubscribed from a bunch. And now, when I'm on a phone call with a client or my friend, I'll just start deleting emails. So wherever I can find something where I can do it automatically, I don't have to pay a lot of attention to, I'll do it. I have to say yes to everything. We've already addressed that. I work better under pressure. I have heard this so many times, especially from high achievers.
There's some truth to that.
Whatever.
There is.
See, he's one of them. I've heard it from him.
That's
Really
what
high
Ernie
cortisol
always
levels.
says. Ernie says that all the time.
So to me, it's a, and you know, no offense, but to me, I work better under pressure is actually, like a coping mechanism for not stewarding time well.
Yeah.
And so the stress it causes and the desk mess it causes, all of those things, cause stress. So it's actually hard on your body, which you can see what it does to Ernie.
Yeah.
So I used to be a deadline pusher. I used to be that one that would wait until it was flat out due, but I didn't like how it made me feel.
Right.
And then I kept missing too many, and so I decided not to do that, and I try to get it done early. Another one I hear all the time is I just need to be more disciplined. I like this statement. It says, this story assumes that sheer willpower is the only thing standing between you and better time management, but in reality, effective time management is more about strategies, understanding your priorities, and making conscious choices about how to use your time. So I thought that was really good. And then I think the final two would be, it's too late for me. I've heard that. I'm 60 something, it's too late for me. No, it's not. And then I can do it all alone. So that one, I mean, you know, that's why I hired Dorena, because I was trying to do everything. I wasn't sleeping. And so at that point, it's like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I, you know, making myself fatigued or not getting to enjoy my evenings and things like that? So, but then I remember, I don't know if you remember, Doreen, but I told her if it ever gets to where it's actually eating into your enjoyment time and what you like to do, you need to let me know, because we need to adjust, because I never want all my stuff to be pushed onto someone and then they don't have time for the things they want, you know? So real fast, which one stands out to you the most?
Oh gosh, there's a few.
Do you need the worksheet?
Yeah, let me see it. There's a couple that I was like,
The phone's just following you.
okay, this I need to find the right time is a big one.
Fix it.
I'm like,
Or,
oh,
no, you can't.
I'll find that time later. I'll find that right time later, and it's like,
It goes,
Oh.
It found her.
oh.
No, it didn't. You can go ahead and turn it off.
Turn
it
I'll
off?
find, or I need
Yeah.
to find the right time. That one is
And don't
like,
turn it, okay?
huge.
Because it's electronic.
Okay.